What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of CNC. It's episode number 32 and we're starting today's episode off with a scouting update and an academy update as we enter March. You'll notice, and I mentioned this before, I always try and send my scouts out on the first of the month. There's something about having a scouting update and then an academy update followed directly afterwards that I really like. You know, maybe it's because, of course, I'm making these videos for YouTube and I want you guys to see like both things at the very same time. But I don't know why, but there's something about like getting a scouting update midway through the month that just feels a bit wrong. I don't know why, it just feels a bit out of place when it comes in on like the 20th of the month or something. But anyway, look at our fixtures coming in March. As you can see, 4 more games in the Bundesliga, including Hamburg, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Bielefeld all away from home, and also the second leg of our Champions League round of 16 tie away at Anfield. Of course, as we know, we will need to score, otherwise we're out on the back of the 1-1 draw in Dresden. For the first game of the big month of March here, taking on Mönchengladbach away, of course, on the back of the win against Dortmund in the last episode, we've now opened up a 7-point gap at the top of the table with 10 games to go, and destiny firmly in our own hands. Win 8 of our final 10, and we will be Bundesliga champions. Easier said than done though, but heading into the game against Mönchengladbach at Borussia-Park, 10 minutes in, Gadikli scores his 10th goal of the season and makes it 1-0. Mentioned him before, he's really come on in the past couple of years since we joined the Bundesliga and become a much more reliable source of goals. So 1-0 Dresden, no Mönchengladbach would find a leveller through Hans Wolf in the first half. So 1-1 heading to the second half, and just past the hour mark here, Timothy Weah gets in behind the back line and goes for goal and smacks it in as well. I remember him in my American club and country, Timothy Weah. He was a really decent striker, but unfortunately in this one scores against us to make it 2-1 as Mönchengladbach pull a Dresden and come from behind to lead, and in stoppage time, still trailing by a goal. Kind of lost my discipline a little bit after that. It was forcing bodies forward, playing a really high pressing game, dragging bodies out of position, trying to win the ball back further up the pitch, go on the counter and find a leveller. Unfortunately, could not win the ball back. Mönchengladbach exploited the space in behind and found themselves the third goal. So 3 on the final score, Hans Wolf with a brace, Timothy Weah with the other, and a loss for Dresden in the Bundesliga for the first time. It had been a really, really good unbeaten run, but finally it comes to an end at Borussia-Park, and this is what I mean, man. 7-point was the gap before the game. It's now been cut to 4, and yes, we only needed to win 8 of our final 10 games. I'll say only, but feeling the pressure a little bit here. Never been in this situation before. A chance to win the Bundesliga title and end Bayern Munich's dominance. Yeah, it's going to be quite nervy for us to hold on to top spot, I'm sure, with 9 games to go still. For the following game, second one of today's episode here, it will be the second leg of the Champions League round of 16 tie away at Anfield against Liverpool. And of course, this was the game where we needed to score on the back of the draw in Dresden, the 1-1 score, which of course meant Liverpool had that crucial away goal. So you'd think that we'd be going all out to find ourselves the goal we needed in this game. But instead it was the other way round. Liverpool weren't going to sit on the fact they had their away goal advantage and were going through if the game would finish goalless. They wanted more goals, and they get one in the first half as well. Diego Jota, the former Wolves man, making it 1-0 as the Reds got themselves in front. So behind early, well, not early in the first half, but in the first half, 10 minutes before the break there, as Liverpool found their goal to give themselves even more of a cushion. And I just could not break them down in this game, I'll be totally honest. Now, normally my attacking play is pretty decent. I find a lot of chances, particularly on the break, particularly when going down the flanks with Agu and Gatao as well. For some reason in this game, I just could not break Liverpool down at all. Sometimes it's just a lot more difficult to create chances, and this was definitely one of those games. In the second half, we were still trailing by a goal. Agu had the only chance of the game, testing Alisson, but a simple save by the Brazilian, and once Salah stroked home, and I mean stroked home, Liverpool's second goal. That was the coolest of finishes there from the Egyptian to make it 2-0. It was basically game over. Like, we were still in it, even though we were a goal down, because it didn't change the complexion of the tie for us. We still needed to score anyway, whether Liverpool had that first goal or not. But once Salah made it 2-0, it was all over. He then got his second goal to make it 3-0. And this is kind of what I was talking about back in the episode I put out on Monday. Remember when I was talking about momentum, and I was talking about how it's a bit too overpowered and a bit too obvious? This is kind of what I meant. So for a long time, even though we were 1-0 down, the game was, you know, I wouldn't say balanced. Liverpool were still a better team, but we weren't exactly out of the tie or anything like that. But they scored 3 goals in the space of 15 in-game minutes, and once Salah scored that second goal for the Reds, it was like the switch had just been flipped, and I literally just could not stop them. And Liverpool's players were playing at a much higher intensity or a much higher level of ability, and my players were just like all over the place and stuck in the mud, especially when it came down to pace. So yeah, it's kind of frustrating, because again, I talked about this on Monday, and I never like to moan too much about the gameplay. I understand it can be difficult for EA to get the right balance, but momentum again, I am in favour of it being part of the game because it's a real thing. It's a psychological thing, but it's a real thing. You see it in real life, both in team and individual sport. But it's just a little bit too OP at times. When you're cruising, when you're dominating, you'll find it yourself. It works both ways. You can just be like putting the sword to your opponents really easily when you score like 2 or 3 goals at a time. But when you're on the receiving end of it, you notice it just as much. It's just so hard to stop opponents coming forward. So yeah, lost the game by 4-0 in the end. First test in the Champions League knockout stages, out pretty convincingly. But not a real surprise though. I mentioned it before, when the tie was drawn, I didn't feel confident. First test of European football, and yeah, it's kind of like, do you know what it reminds me of? We beat Hertha Berlin here by 2-0, courtesy of Ramsey Duval. It kind of reminds me of Norwich this year, as you see 6 players going on Germany duty here. How about this, including Gattal getting? It kind of reminds me of Norwich when they got to the Premier League last year. It's like they came up one season too early. Do you know what I mean? Like, we came into the Champions League one season too early. We weren't ready for it yet. We will be next season, but not this season. It's kind of like Norwich. They've got such a great young team, some really awesome youngsters they're developing there at Carrow Road, and I'm very excited to see what they'll do next season. I think they'll have a much better go at Premier League football next season. I do believe that, but yeah, it's like last season they were just a bit too young, a bit too inexperienced, not ready for the Premier League last season. But that's kind of what it reminded me of there. We weren't ready for the Champions League this year, but next season it should hopefully be a little bit, not necessarily simpler, but we'll have a lot more competitive fixtures in the knockout stages if we can get through our group next year as well. So it's kind of like Norwich, if I can draw a comparison there. But still, following that win there against Hertha Berlin, Bielefeld away right now down the bottom of the table. Felt pretty confident of making back-to-back wins here away from home. Thought I took lead early through Schaefer, goals disallowed. We would take the lead soon after that though, that one not disallowed, as we make it 1-0, and then 10 minutes after the restart. This guy's agility is ridiculous, man. I mean, I know I mentioned it in the last episode, but this guy, like, he could turn his way out of a paper bag. Like, seriously, this guy is just so agile. It's unbelievable. He's got the pace, he's got the dribbling, the balance, and everything like that. There's never a problem for him to like turn sharply and turn a sharp corner. It's crazy, as he made it 2-0. Ramsey Jabal with yet another goal for the season. There were 10 minutes to go. Jeez, I kind of felt bad about scoring this goal, hence why I did the show respect celebration. There are certain goals you score in FIFA and you're kind of embarrassed to score them. This was one of them. Now, I know luck will balance itself out. I know we've been on the receiving end of some bad luck, but yeah. When the goal went in, I was thinking, I don't even want to show that, man, because that's really, really embarrassing. But yeah, a very, very poor own goal there conceded as we got ourselves our 3rd goal. Not that it mattered, of course. I mean, we were on top from start to finish. Of course, we were going to win the game regardless. And in stoppage time, Ramsey Jabbar got another goal to make it 4-0 and get a second of the game. But it was still a really, really embarrassing own goal to concede there in what was in the end a routine 4-0 victory away against Bielefeld. So yeah, 4-0 the final score. And following that, this is really interesting. Janis Voigt, we've given him a pro deal. Now, of course, he's the highest rated player in the academy, 69 overall. We chain him to a cam, and he should have, touchwood, fingers crossed, the potential to be special as well. So very excited to show him to you. I will in the very next episode. He does look really good indeed. Obviously, now we're at a point where, because Simon is so good, I don't know how much game time he'll be able to get, but I'm thinking what I might do next year is try and loan him out, because you'll notice in the very next episode, our loan players have all been developing really, really well out on loan. And that is one thing I am noticing in this year's FIFA CM2. When you loan youth players out, I'd say maybe like 4 times out of 5, they develop really, really quickly. So if I can loan Voigt out for a season or 2, and he comes back like 80, 81, 82 overall, he'll have a much higher chance of getting some game time in this team as opposed to sitting in the reserves and not really playing. So excited. I'll show you his stats in the next episode. Definitely worth looking into. But still, for the final game of today's episode, final one of March, Hamburg away at the Volkspark Stadion. God, I loved my Hamburg career mode back in FIFA. Was it FIFA? I think it was FIFA 17, wasn't it? So much fun. No, it was FIFA 16 actually. FIFA 16, I remember that now. The Hamburg career mode with Cesar Valente in goal. The Brazilian was not starting in this one though. That's why I wasn't surprised we scored 3 pretty simple goals here, as Simon scored yet another one 3 minutes after the restart to make it 3-0. What was a very, very simple game here. And you might have seen for the second goal as well, Ramsey Boa. You know, one of my favourite celebrations in FIFA, sometimes you guys ask me what my favourite one is, because normally I just press the X button, you know, but one of my favourite celebrations is one you don't actually do yourself with button combinations. You just run to the corner flag. When the player hurdles the corner flag, it looks so cool there. But regardless, 4-0 the final score, a brace for Albert Simon, one for Gattal, and another for Ransford Yeboah as well. So on the back of the 4-0 win there, 6 games to go in the Bundesliga. We go 9 points clear of Bayern Munich, and that does mean if we win 4 of our remaining 6 games in the Bundesliga, we will be champions and Bayern Munich's run will come to an end. So we're not there yet. But due to the superior goal difference swing and of course the point gap as well, 4 wins in 6. Come on, this is definitely within our reach. But that will end today's episode of CNC, guys. So big thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And if you have, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day. And I'll see you for the season finale as we close out our 4th season in the Bundesliga with Dynamo. No, well, 2nd season in the Bundesliga, but 4th season overall Dynamo Dresden. The progression of this series has been incredible. Season finale coming out in the very next episode. Have a great day, guys. Much love. And I'll see you for it very soon.